Are cyclists who run red lights a menace? 0207 862 2222, that's the number. More than half of London's cyclists do it. That's according to a new survey. I think I saw loads of them doing it on my way into the studio this morning. I was driven right through Regent's Park. There are tons of cyclists. You just see them, they seem to appear from nowhere. It's quite an amazing sight. 16% of them say they do it regularly, despite the risk of a £50 fine if they get caught. They blame poor road design and lack of dedicated traffic lights for bikes. Of course, it's not just a London problem, it's all the way around the country. There's a good chance you've been using a crossing when a bike has come speeding through it. But if a cyclist is considerate and careful, maybe you don't mind them slipping past a red light, or do you think it's unforgivable? If you're a cyclist, why'd you do it? What are you doing it for? Oritsé, I don't know if you're a cyclist.
I'm not, but I have seen cars put pressure on cyclists to kind of get out of the way at red lights, especially around Westminster. I've seen that a lot, where it's a red light and they're beeping the cyclist because they don't want to wait for the cyclist to start moving once it goes green. So I just feel like, and also, I mean, we'll all be lying if we didn't say we've kind of, been through a red light or two in our experience. I mean, not on purpose. Not on purpose, but we've all kind of just missed the amber.
Oh, this drives me absolutely insane when cyclists do it. And as you said, they seem to be doing it more and more. And I just think you are so vulnerable, you, the cyclist, you're also putting other people in danger. You're in blatant disregard for the rules of the road. You're not paying to be on that road, unlike the rest of us who are paying our car tax and whatever else it might be. And you just think that the rules don't apply to you. And I've had plenty of friends who've been knocked off their bikes, and so I know how vulnerable they are. And you just think, A, you're putting yourself in danger, but also, if there was a motorist who wasn't doing anything wrong and ends up knocking you off, how traumatised they're going to be.
You'd never get over it, would you?
No. Dreadful. No. You see all these, those white ghost bikes that you see around, which are in commemoration of people that died, and you see, and it really brings it home how dangerous it is. And I just think you absolute idiots, stop it.
Rick, we were going to hear from you on this.
I am a cyclist and I do take my kids to nursery on the back of my bike. I do also drive, but not as much. So I kind of see, both sides of the story. I'm terrified when I've got the kids on the back. So I do take low traffic neighbourhoods. I take cycle paths whenever I can. I'm just naturally worried, but it makes sense for me to cycle much more than it does driving because traffic in central London is absolutely awful. So I take it as safe as I can. And I'm going to admit on your show that I do go before it's gone green.
And explain why.
Well, because if I have 2 seconds, I stop at red lights. That absolutely I stop. But I go just a couple of seconds before. Sometimes you have your own bike light lane, which gives you a couple of seconds. But I'll just go a couple of seconds before, but in case some truck comes quickly, takes the corner at the same time I'm going, it gives me those 2 seconds when I know the traffic is crossing the other way, has stopped, to get out there and get someone to notice me before I go.
So you think it's a safer...
It's just a pure safety procedure for me that I go a couple of seconds early.
All right, let's bring in my caller, Claire, in London, who really has personal experience of this situation. Claire, I'm so sorry to hear this. What happened to your son?
He was crossing the road on a green man, and there was like a white van parked, waiting to go at the lights, which it should have been there, wasn't breaking the law. And basically a guy came up the side of the van and jumped the red and hit my son on the green man, breaking his leg in 2 places.
That's awful.
Oh, gosh. So what's your take on this conversation then, Claire, with your son with a leg broken in 2 places? I mean, you must have very firm views on this, I'm sure.
Yeah, very. Because I think cyclists need to be insured, because there's nobody held accountable for it. If who can you claim from? So in our situation, the guy was actually on an electric bike, which was going over 50 miles per hour.
Oh gosh.
Which was actually an illegal one, because some are legal and some are illegal. But had it have been a legal one, he wouldn't be able to get any like insurance claim or anything unless the bike rider actually has insurance themselves.
And I mean, everyone's always suggesting the idea of, bicycles being registered in the way that cars have registration plates, because at least that way, riders are traceable.
Electric bikes should be registered, and so should scooters. I feel like there's a big difference here between someone stopping at a red light and going a couple of seconds early at the end, and an electric bike doing 50 mile an hour, like Claire says, down a cycle path, or a scooter, as I constantly see them in big cities, in Manchester and Liverpool, going the wrong way down a cycle path.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It seems to be completely lawless out there for this bit of kit. They're supposed to be being trialled in various cities across the UK. These trials have gone on for years. Can we actually have some decent law, some decent legislation, and some decent punishment, and people out there, police out there, policing these bike lanes and taking these electric scooters with illegal engines who are knocking people over and hurting people like Claire's son or daughter, sorry, I don't know, son, and actually get a grip on this, because I feel like in some ways it's the cyclists who are kind of being punished for much of the problem I see now is the people who've got these electric bikes who are just breaking the law and nothing is done about it.
Let's talk to Mike, who's in Kent. Let's see what he's got to say. Mike, what do you think about this?
I am against anybody really that is allowed to go on the roads without having any sort of training, passing the the highway
test
code
or any other test. I mean, that's a valid point,
and
isn't it?
they're not insured, they're not taxed, and as much as I understand the cyclist who was on just now about taking 2 seconds to go early because he felt it was safer. If I was on my motorbike or in my car, if I did the same thing, I would get penalised.
Mike, can I just point out, though, on that, there is a separate light.
The thing is, I don't feel that these cyclists are trained or governed properly. And they need to, as your speaker just said, there needs to be something out there.
Vanessa, can I just clarify that point, though? In many of the big cities in the UK, cyclists have a separate light and it gives you 2 seconds. That's supposed to happen so you can get away before everybody else. There is a separate bike light on the side. Some of the crossings simply don't have these. So I'm just doing what I would do if there was a separate bike light. Let
me go to Sandra. She's on the line in London. Sandra, you're seeing incidents with cyclists often in your area.
Yes, I do. There's a few times that I've been out with my granddaughter who's got medical problems. She's not well. And we've gone across the road, like the lights changed, and we just stood out, and his bike just nearly hit us. And it's been like 3 or 4 times. And it's happened with my daughter when she's taken her out. It's really bad round here. There is bike lanes. Sometimes they use them, sometimes they don't. But it's when they don't stop at the lights, it's the worst thing. I had one bloke, when I was crossing the road, he actually stopped, and I said thank you to him because he stopped and let me go past. And I thought that was really nice, and that was one out of hundreds that I've seen on the roads in London.
Daisy?
I just wanted to come back to Simon's point, but also what Mike was saying before about training, because I have a motorbike licence, full motorbike licence. I had to pass my test. You've got a motorbike licence. So you know that we got taught defensive riding. And I see, and so you're constantly taught everybody on the road is trying to kill you. That is basically what they teach you. Every door on a parked car is about to open. You've got to make sure it's your responsibility to make sure you're out of the way. You've got to assume that everyone on the road is an idiot. And it's a completely different method of teaching, and I just think cyclists need to be taught that as well, because any idiot can get on a bike and take off. You don't need any sort of qualification.
That's exactly what Mike was saying. Anyone can do it.